r/AskReddit. What is the most infuriating case of double standards you've come across? For purposes of this story, I have two little brothers. They do not share mothers. We were eating breakfast with the mother of one of them. The other one is a picky eater. He has issues with texture, but he never complains, just powers through as best he can. She got up to get coffee, and they traded plates. Her bio son had almost cleaned his, and her stepson had eaten about half before the trade. Then they both got up and took their plates to her like they'd finished, and she accepted them both as done. You see, when her bio son says he's full, she believes him. When her stepson says he's full, she doesn't. So they made it look like the step had eaten more because they knew the bio's plate would be accepted in any condition. I never told them that. I know they did this, and probably have for a while. But I love that they figured a way around her double standards. Just gotta say, it's really cute that the brothers look out for each other like that. I agreed, that was way more heartwarming than I expected here. School always calls me the mom. Teachers always call me the mom. When I changed the primary number to my husband's number, they were confused that he picked up and asked him to verify my number for future reference. They never bother or ask or complain to my husband, only me, the mom. The office staff couldn't imagine why mother's contact information wasn't on file. They kept asking me for her phone number. What do you want that for? She doesn't have custody. Once they even pressed it so hard I also had to explain she lived 4 states away. Bio mom once had one of her special friends pick up the child from after school program. Special friend was on work release for too many DUIs, but they didn't ask questions because bio mom called ahead. So I showed up to pick child up, realized what happened and panicked. After school couldn't fathom what was wrong since bio mom said it was fine. Does anyone have a link to the story of a guy whose child almost got kidnapped? If I recall correctly, it was a story where a man was waiting for his wife outside a store with their child in a stroller. A woman just walks up, screams that he's kidnapping her child, grabs the stroller, and calmly walks off. The man got tackled and beat by everyone there, to the point of having broken ribs, and all the while he was screaming that the baby was his and she was the kidnapper. It was only stopped because the wife came out and confronted the woman, who just calmly let go of the stroller and walked off without anyone stopping her. When the police got there, the husband was reprimanded for looking suspicious. I remember reading that and feeling so angry. I can't imagine the helplessness you feel watching some strange woman walking off with your kid while you're being beaten and held down by strangers, preventing you from rescuing your child. My blood was boiling after reading it. Reminds me of a Japanese story I heard recently of an 80-year-old man shopping at a mall, and when he was done withdrew some cash and a creepy woman was standing around the ATM with a baby strapped to her chest. She bumped into him and tried to pickpocket his wallet, but he was quick and had grabbed his wallet at the same time and she struggled to get it. He held it with such force it broke his cards in there. When she realized she wouldn't be able to get it, she yelled "thief," and the good Samaritans ran to her aid. 2 rookie police officers were nearby and detained the man by putting their knee on his back. He was visibly injured and they ignored him. The victim had disappeared by the time they had done so. He later died. The next day they charged him posthumously with theft until a couple cops that felt something wasn't right reviewed the mall cameras and saw that he was telling the truth. My high school English teacher would hear something even remotely phone-like and explode, "Whose phone is that?" If no one answered right away, A would pace the desks, and if anyone acted suspicious she would have them empty their pockets, bags, etc. on the desk. If there was a phone, she confiscated it. If there were any unread notifications, she would read them aloud. But, every now and again, she would do her whole explosion, then glance down and giggle and say, "Oh, it's my phone," and then text away. Also, she was a terrible English teacher. I had a math teacher like this, back in 8th grade, 1991 to 1992, but with beeping watches instead of phones. Everyone with a digital watch got involved with the plot towards the end of the year. We synchronized and set our alarm so as soon as one stopped another went off. He started getting angry, but by the time the 7th went off, he'd just sat down and let his left eye twitch until it was over. Beautiful. One of the regional managers goes to state prison for over a year for DWI. If you know anything about Texas DWI laws, that means he got caught multiple times. Comes out of prison. Immediately transferred to corporate and made a director. Brand new employee is rear-ended in stop-go traffic on the highway. No injuries, but forced to take a drug test. Fails for weed. Immediately fired. The double standard on weed versus alcohol will never fail to blow my mind. Here's my example of this. My brother and I grew up in a Christian household. We're both in college now, and we all know how it goes in American college. 99% chance you're either gonna end up smoking or drinking daily. I'm the smoker. He's the drinker. He will tell all these crazy stories at dinner and such about how he was so drunk and did X crazy thing while intoxicated, which I have absolutely zero issue with. I drink with him whenever I go up to visit, but the moment I mention literally anything smoking related, it's an immediate don't talk about it. I don't wanna listen to how my child does drugs from my parents. Bullshit. I worked as a delivery driver for Frito-Lay. I went to park next to a tree and one of the branches was lower than I thought and it hit the top corner of the truck and cracked it. I was forced to take a drug test and then fired for marijuana. However, I was never breathalyzed, so I could have been blackout drunk at the time of the accident and I would have kept my job if I didn't have weed in my system. 35 years ago and it still pisses me off. I got detention in high school. No biggie. I did the crime. However, I was scheduled to work, so I asked for detention to be delayed for 1 day. Request denied. I pointed out that football players routinely had theirs rescheduled to accommodate games and practice. Only answer I got was that's different. Same deal with me. So I skipped detention and got a day of internal suspension instead. So you got to sit out of class for a day on school time instead of wasting an hour of your time in detention? What always bugged me about my school is that we weren't allowed to do anything in detention but sit and stare. I couldn't even do homework if I wanted to. To this day I don't understand the logic. In work, if I am 5 minutes late they will certainly let me know about it. But if I stay behind 15 minutes later than my finish, not even a mention. Edit. Since this comment blew up, I'll give you a story that relates this problem to the downfall of a company, paraphrasing my own version of the story. So, there was a person who worked for a company. This person did all their work, and the work of some others, which in turn was keeping the company afloat. Now, this person does not do this for any particular reason other than they are a good worker and doesn't really receive any praise. Maybe a thank you here and there from management. One day, this person has had to come in late and as soon as they enter the building and clock in, they get a text message from their boss asking them to see the boss. So they see the boss, and the boss says we have a zero tolerance policy on lateness. If you are late again you will be fired. The person tries to defend themselves by bringing up all the extra work they do, but the boss replies you were not asked to do those things, but you are required to be on time. So the person decides they will only do what is asked of them from now on. Now things are starting to go wrong and the company is behind on certain contracts. This person continues to do only what is asked of them, and eventually the company goes under. The moral here is to recognize the good and bad of your employees. One comment that only focuses on a negative situation without any mention of the extra good that the person has done can be incredibly costly, but by just saying you should not be late, but I do appreciate the extra work you do, we can work something out can save you in the long run. Literally the past few days, that's 2 days in a row, you need to get better for a combined total of 7 minutes late. But today and yesterday I worked 20 minutes past and skipped lunch. Duck this. You should always take your break and check out at your normal time. Unless you want to and are getting paid for that additional time. If nothing else, there's a good chance this isn't even expected of you. Don't donate to your company unless they're donating to you. Someone posted on Reddit once, and it really made me laugh so it stuck with me, that a woman he worked with would make fun of him and call him chicken legs and stuff, wearing shorts. So he finally called her elephant legs and got into trouble with HR. Because elephants always remembers. WTF. Did the HR use their common sense and realize she said those things first? Middle-aged woman I used to work with was always complaining about her son-in-law, and one day she was complaining to me and saying how he doesn't clean her daughter's car off when it snows and that is something the man should be doing, and I responded with sure. But how would you feel if he said the same thing about dishes and being something the woman should do? She paused and then said she never thought of it that way, lol. Glad she could accept her mistake though. Some people are genuine but they think in one direction only. Good thing that he explained it in a calm way. My mom gets mad at me for being at home all the time and never going over to friends' houses and stuff. I get a girlfriend and a job, so now I'm never home and she gets pissed off about it. My ex was like this. Pissed off that I am home and she doesn't get alone time to go hang out with friends or do something by myself, and suddenly I'm not spending enough quality time with her. Edit. This tidbit got more traction than I thought it would. She knows my Reddit. Don't care if she sees, but if she does, please send me back my Switch games like you said you would. I was fully prepared for you to get a girlfriend and a job, and your ex not being happy about it. I went to a small Bible college where we had to sign a contract promising not to drink or have premarital sex while enrolled there. At one point a couple was caught having sex. The guy was put on some sort of light probation. Of course he was still able to play on the school's basketball team, and the girl was immediately expelled. I recall a woman posting to r/Christianity about being pregnant out of wedlock. Comments were mostly supportive, but still lots of lecturing on her sin. I told her not to get too hung up on mention of sin when no one was criticizing her partner. I went to a Christian school in high school. They would immediately expel any girl who became pregnant. Several years back, way since I graduated HS, a prominent Christian college rescinded their policy to expel pregnant women because they realized it may have the inadvertent effect of causing these women to get abortions. I shared their post on Facebook and said my old high school should consider this. I then get this huge tirade message from one of the office workers telling me how wrong it was of me to post it and how I was a terrible person for it and all this stuff. There was a girl that kept putting her hands on me. Every day she would try to touch my balls, grab my ass, slap my ass, etc. I've tried talking to my friends and my teacher that we weren't together and she's making me uncomfortable, with many of my classmates POV as evidence. The teachers just gave her a stern talking to, but she later continued her harassment. Everyone knew I was being harassed, so I decided to give her a taste of her own medicine. After she decided to slap my ass the nth time, I turned around and slapped hers. Needless to say, I was tackled to the floor and was bogged down by the other girls. I explained to said teachers about the many times they witnessed me being harassed by her and did nothing about it. This one time, I placed myself as the harasser and now suddenly they care. Luckily enough, they brought both me and the girl to the principal's office and warned us not to do it again or else they'll call our parents. She stopped after that. Edit. I wanna let you know, this happened back in sophomore year in HS. It's been 6 years since then. I'm now 20 in college. That is some stupid double standard bullshit. She sexually harassed, assaulted you so many times, continuously, in front of so many others, have told teachers, who gave stern talking to, and that's it. And then when you did it to her once, all of a sudden, then it becomes a big deal. She should have been expelled. If a guy did this, he would have been heavily punished right away, especially after the first incident. Edit. The assaulted. Shit, I've seen straight women groping gay male friends, and even strangers, in public, and thinking it's okay because the guy isn't turned on by it. I don't know about other dudes, but having my most treasured body parts unexpectedly grabbed by another person is something that alarms me. When my wife puts anything anywhere, it is the place of the thing. If I put anything anywhere, why do I not clean up after myself? I feel this deep in my soul, as the thing classer. There are dozens of us. A girl I dated in high school would often vent to me about her friends' boyfriends doing the same things she would do to me. For example, we'd see each other every weekend. She wanted to see me more often, but we lived 40 minutes from each other. Gas was expensive, I was broke, and I had homework and extracurriculars, so I was busy during the week. She got mad and angrily told me to let her know when I cared enough to pencil her into my calendar. Not too much later, she was on the phone with me, telling me how her friend's boyfriend said the same thing to her friend and what an a-hole he was for it. When I called her out, she just made up some crap about how our situation was different. Ah, the joy of high school love. I'm 46. Still happens. Drugs. Just depends if you are rich or poor when you get caught. When I was a school nurse, I was always alone with whatever children needed assistance, even after I would ask for help. New male school nurse started. All of a sudden 3 other people are available just to watch him. I felt terrible for the guy, but literally no one trusted him with the diabetic kid or the kid with the trach alone. Oh, he can't be alone. But me, a woman, was never questioned. Double standards abound. I was once pulled off of a school trip that I'd been asked to assist with because they were short-staffed because the deputy head of the girls' school said there was already 1 man on the trip and 2 would be a safeguarding concern. Which, I mean, if you thought either of us was a safeguarding concern, you shouldn't have either of us working at the school. And also is the idea that 1 man is fine but add another man and we start trying to screw kids. They instead paid a substitute teacher at what must have been a massive rate to cover the numbers. I was fuming. It's been 5 years, I'm still learned fuming. Edit. Oh, as a bonus, on the trip a private hired bus driver grabbed the ass of one of the kids and said he couldn't help himself. Mate, that is the opposite of an excuse. And so as the other man was elsewhere, 3 tiny women couldn't get him off the bus, and he refused to, so they had to get the girls to all walk past him to get off. I can assure you I'd have gotten him off the bus. I've dealt with perverted dudes like that. They'll completely ignore me, a woman, or even get angry if I'm too stern for their fragile emotions, until I get my male coworker. Suddenly the same request is immediately complied with. Night and day difference. I hate to have to call in one of the guys. It's a massive waste of everyone's time. But it is nice to have a big male around for these situations. Most male bathrooms don't have baby changing stations. My boyfriend had complained about this. Someone once came up and suspiciously asked him what he was doing at his car while he was changing his daughter's diaper on the back seat. He told them there was no changing station in the men's room and he wasn't going to change her diaper on the floor of a public bathroom. What did they ducking think he was doing? I've heard many stories about men getting judged, shamed, bullied and abused for going into unisex parent rooms to change their kid, as if they aren't allowed to provide a basic need for their child in a space meant for both men and women. Edit. Far too many replies to this comment. Genuinely didn't expect this to blow up like it did. Thank you for the award, whoever gave it to me. I brought this sort of situation up because I want to have kids myself one day, and I'm afraid of this sort of thing happening to me. I've been asked to leave a parenting room once. I said I needed to change and feed my son. She said it's for mothers. I said it was a parenting room for parents and I won't let my son go hungry. She asked me to leave again. I ignored her and went about my business while she got daggers from other mums in the room and then left in a huff. Had a couple of women giving me daggers when I've gone in with my kids, but they haven't said anything. One woman tried to get security. Didn't ask me. The sliding door just opened with her compatibility to the security guard about how I was in the just like she told him. The guard seemed to see me with the kids and say there wasn't an issue. Also at a restaurant once, group of maybe 18 plus of us. My turn to change my son. Asked waitress if there's a change room, and she said no. I asked if there was a change table anywhere and was told that the only one was in the women's toilet. I went to walk to those toilets and she stopped me and called a manager over. Manager said I could change him on the floor of the office out back. Hell no. I don't know how dirty that is and I don't have a change mat with me. Can't your wife just do it? No. My wife is dead tired because motherhood. I asked if they could just check no one is in the women's and hold the door while I change him. But nope. So I got angry and found a spare table in the restaurant and changed his there in front of everyone to make my point. And when someone asked what was up, I loudly explained that the only change table is in the women's, and staff wouldn't let me use it. Also the amount of well-meaning people who have asked if I needed help when my child was fussing or screaming or whatever, when they wouldn't have asked I was a woman. I can dismiss it, because they mean well, but it's annoying. Oh, and the time I was suspiciously asked if the screaming 5-year was mine and I was terrified they'd not believe me and call the police. I live in a much nicer suburb now and only had one issue since my second was born. Done getting security. Can't your wife just do it? No, my wife is dead. He would have ended the sentence right there. See how they react. You say pee coke and nobody bats an eye, but you say poop coke and everyone loses their minds. If an airline had all female pilots, would people be okay if the cockpit was renamed to box office? IDK. I feel like that's not vulgar enough compared to cockpit. Different? Now that's terrible. Me and a classmate wrote the same answer with different wordings in a test. My classmate got the answer marked wrong. Luckily, because I am her favorite, I don't enjoy it. I was able to negotiate with her and she changed the mark. Although it's still infuriating that it actually happened in the first place, and yes, she didn't like him at the time. I fucking loathe this kind of teacher. They grade not for the student's improvement but for their own pitiful satisfaction. They're not teachers. They're a waste of resources. My personal experience. I was about 8 months pregnant. My cousin's girlfriend was about 7 months pregnant. We were all at my aunt's house. My cousin's GF, let's call her Christy, had a reputation of being not very bright, but also very arrogant. She insisted that it was perfectly fine to smoke during her pregnancy because the baby's lungs were not developed yet. Just no matter what evidence my aunt showed Christy, she stuck with her stubborn, selfish belief. She smoked cigarettes up until 6 months pregnant and smoked pot from a street drug dealer up until the car ride to the hospital to deliver. She also drank 2 alcoholic beverages a day. We all suspected possibly more. We were all appalled, but there was nothing we could do to stop her. I had not said one thing to her about it because it just wasn't my place to. My aunt had said enough. On the other hand, I completely gave up alcohol. I never smoked. All coffee, caffeine, getting my hair and nails done, sushi, and everything that my midwife said could possibly cause harm to the unborn baby. I even switched to a natural deodorant. Back to my aunt's house. My aunt had come back from a store with sub hoagies, fresh deli meats, and cheese. We all started making ourselves subs, except for Christy, who was busy smoking a blunt in the bedroom as I was eating my turkey sandwich. Christy comes out from the bedroom, high as a kite, looks at me dead seriously, and says, "You're not supposed to be eating that. Deli meat isn't safe for the baby." It took every ounce of energy in my body to not hurl myself screaming in her face. What's up with sushi and babies? Depending on the sushi, raw meat and risk of parasites. Edit. Wow, this blew up. Open bracket. I've always wanted to say that, haha. Thank you all for the support, and thanks for the rewards, kind strangers. Grinning face with cowboy hat. When I was about 16, my dad, a Baptist missionary pastor, once preached a 2-hour sermon on the perils of pornography and how absolutely evil it was. Go to save yourself for marriage, etc. Open bracket. He had also beaten the shit out of me for catching me with porn a couple months prior. That same night when we got home from church, he asked me to bring him his phone that he left in the car. I opened it to find months of daily porn watching in his internet history. Mayo. Bro, ain't there no way? You confronted him, right? Oh hell yeah, I did, lol. At the dinner table the next day, my mom asked me why I was giving my dad such attitude. I said, oh, maybe you should ask dad about his internet history, and when he played dumb and asked what I was talking about, I asked him if wet slutty Asians in the shower rang any bells. Did not end well for either of us, but the look on his face made it worth it, hahaha. Whoa, you made it to the end? You're a ducking beast. I'll cut you a deal. Smash like and subscribe for more curated content, bruh. It's free and that's a great price.